Hey vinyl community, for this video I wanted to show my favorite double album greatest hits compilations in my collection. Now, to have a double greatest hits compilation, you really have to have an impressive body of work. Not many artists can pull it off. They just don't have enough hits to fill up a double album, but these artists are the exception. Want to show the favorites in my collection and just talk a little bit about each one. The first artist I'm going to show is the Allman Brothers Band, and this collection is called The Road Goes On Forever, a collection of their greatest recordings. And because of Allman Brothers, their songs tend to be a bit longer. It's a bit easier to fill a double album on here, but this has Black-Hearted Woman, Dreams, Whipping Post, Midnight Rider, Statesboro Blues, Stormy Monday, Hoochie Coochie Man, One Way Out, Blue Sky. So these are all in chronological order, which is pretty cool. And this goes all the way up through the Brothers and Sisters album. But, you know, definitely one to own. You could definitely spread the Allman Brothers hits over 2 albums. No problem, with no filler whatsoever. Definitely, this was one of the bands who had one of the more storied careers in the 1970s. The next one, I'm going to go in alphabetical order here, but the next band is the Beach Boys, Endless Summer. This came out in 1976, I think it was, and it really revitalized the Beach Boys' career. Their fortunes had kind of been sagging a little bit in the early 70s, and then there was a wave of nostalgia that swept across America in 1976, and this album really put them back in the spotlight. A lot of their albums started selling again, and this has not a weak track on it. In fact, there were 2 other greatest hits double albums that Capitol released after this one. There was Spirit of America, and then I think it was called Sunshine Tomorrow was the third one that came out in the 80s. But this one is definitely the cream of the crop right here. Absolutely double album. You know, and more that they even left off of here. That's how many hits the Beach Boys had. So, but this is a great place to start. So many people who are kind of not like the Beach Boys, but this is the album that they have. This or Pet Sounds, because this has all of their best stuff on it. Next band, obviously, the Beatles, and they actually came out with 2 double albums, and I think it was 1974. This one covers a period 1962 to 1966, and the second one covers the period 1967 to 1970. Some interesting track selections on here, like for instance, She's a Woman is not on here, but Girl is. So some of the song selection, you know, is a bit curious, but there's no mistaking every song on here is a hit by the Beatles. And same for this collection. Octopus's Garden, not so sure, but they did leave off like Oh Darling, and there's some other tracks on that they could have substituted for that one. But I understand they wanted to have a Ringo track on here, which, you know, that's fine. But the Beatles, you know, I mean, no question they had enough to cover several double hits albums. In fact, there was a rock and roll music compilation that came out, I think it was 66 or 76 or 77, which also had some really great stuff on it. The Doors, this is the best of the Doors, and I'm not sure when this was released. I think it was released in the 80s, but again, not a weak song on here. Definitely hit after hit after hit. Even though the Doors only had 6 studio albums while Jim Morrison was alive, I mean, so many great songs on here. There's not a single track on here where you think, well, was that a hit? I'm not sure. No, all of these were great. And the Doors had a couple of longer songs, you know, like The End and When the Music's Over, LA Woman, Riders on the Storm were some longer suites, but still, it doesn't feel like, you know, there's any padding on here at all. This is an excellent, excellent place to start if you want to get into the Doors, or if you just need the best of the best. This is a great album to own. Kiss Double Platinum, and this only covers pretty much the Peter Criss era. This was released right after the Love Gun album, and so you don't get anything from Unmasked forward. But still, as far as the early Kiss goes, You know, again, there is not a weak track on here. You've got everything that you need if you're just kind of getting into Kiss, or you can only afford to get one compilation. This definitely would be the one to get. And Kiss is another band where easily could have filled another double album's worth, but always been a fan of this one. This one is great. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Gold and Platinum. This one's got a lot of hits on it. Some that are on here are kind of like, well, I'm not sure that they're necessarily hits, like Down South Jukin', On the Hunt, I Know a Little. But, I mean, you get Saturday Night Special, Give Me 3 Steps, What's Your Name? You got that right. Give Me Back My Bullet, Sweet Home Alabama. So definitely, you know, a double album is not a stretch for Lynyrd Skynyrd. They had so many great tracks on here. There's one or two, maybe 3 tracks on here that they obviously stuck on here. Good songs, but were they hits? Not sure, but nonetheless, a great compilation. Moody Blues. This is the Moody Blues, and this covers their early period before they kind of went on hiatus after the Seventh Sojourn album. But I mean, Moody Blues were such a great band in the late 60s and the early part of the 70s. So many fantastic hits. This is a great compilation. Again, the Moody Blues are a band that a single disc greatest hits just doesn't do them justice. You need all of those deep tracks and all the magnificent Moody Blues songs that are covered on this compilation. And they're not in chronological order. It starts off with, on side 1, Question, then The Actor, The Word, Eyes of a Child, Dear Diary, Legend of a Mind, and then on side 2 for the first disc, you've got In the Beginning, Lovely to See You, Never Comes the Day, Isn't Life Strange, The Dream, Have You Heard, The Voyage. Curiously, nothing on the first disc from Days of Future Past. That stuff you find actually on the second disc that has Tuesday Afternoon and Nights in White Satin on it. But it also has Story in Your Eyes, I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band. So a lot of great hits on this one. Rolling Stones, like the Beatles, had multiple double album greatest hits. And again, with the Rolling Stones, even having a double album, you're still missing some crucial tracks. This doesn't have She's a Rainbow on it. It doesn't have 2,000 Light Years from Home on it. There's other tracks on here that you could say, well, where is this or where is that? Well, that is where the second double album kind of cleans up all of those tracks that had to be left off the first double album. And then it's got some other tracks that were kind of like on leftovers from EPs and stuff that didn't find its way onto any of the American Rolling Stones albums. So both of these are great to have. Rolling Stones, fantastic band. No way you could try and do just one single album hits compilations. I mean, they've tried, but they've always worked better as double album greatest hits for the Rolling Stones. And then the last double album that I'm going to cover here is The Who. This is Hooligans, which was released in the 1980s, I think it was. And the sides are named, the first side is First Bunch of Hooligans, and then you've got Second Bunch of Hooligans. But on the first side, you've got I Can't Explain, I Can See for Miles, Pinball Wizard, Let's See Action, Summertime Blues, Relay. On the side 2, you've got Bob O'Reilly, Behind Blue Eyes, Bargain, The Song Is Over. So those were all taken from the Who's Next album. Then on the third one, you've got Join Together, Squeezebox, Slip Kid, The Real Me. And then on the fourth one, Drowned, Had Enough, Sister Disco, Who Are You? So not in strict chronological order, but, you know, still, it's a pretty good compilation to have. And yeah, The Who, definitely one of those bands where, you know, in order to really do it justice, you got to fit them all onto a double album. Although there are some single disc Who's Greatest Hits album, I prefer the double album treatment. So anyway, those are my favorite Greatest Hits double albums. If you've got some that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments section. Hope you're having a great day and take care.